Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video we are going to look at very high level overview of Sitecore from a developer's point of view. Let's get started. I have made the video, similar kind of video like introduction to Sitecore close to 4 years back. A few things have changed over the years. So at that time I mainly focused towards the .NET developers. This time I'm trying to cover overall for any developers. So let's start. What is the agenda? We will quickly look at CMS, what is content management system, digital experience platform, and headless CMS, and overall Sitecore product ecosystem, and technology landscape, and what is the developer certification and developer community around the globe, and as well as in India. For whom this video will best suitable is mainly like this is the first time you heard about the term Sitecore. You are not aware of anything related to Sitecore, and you are a developer, want to at least try to understand what it is and what is a developer work would be, what is the whole developer ecosystem, and what are the technologies it involves. So if you want to know all this, please watch further. First, let's see what is a content management system. So just take an example of a couple of websites. One is the Times of India is like famous news website in India, and another one is Bajaj, which is the automobile websites, popular two-wheeler products. And in this case, if a newspaper website, like how frequent or in a day, how many times the data gets updated, the content. So how many times breaking news, how many news articles would be published, how many editorials would be published. So in all this, the content would be keep changing over a day, right? So what these content management systems provide is, they provide like a server-side backend UI or a platform for the content authors to create and manage their content. That means articles in this case, or news pages, without any help from technical people like you and me, developers, or any other technical persons. Without our help, they would be able to manage their overall content. You can take the example of like even just a basic level WordPress websites. If you are written any blog if you are maintaining a blog in your WordPress, you don't need to be aware of like how this website is hosted, how, if you want, what technologies are used. Nothing matters. If you can just go on, create a blog, and post a first post or a couple of posts, and you can quickly, if at all you want to update later stage, you can quickly update it. Similar case, I just put an example of both. On a higher level, content management system provides a platform for the content authors to create and manage their content without any technical expertise, and with a very faster delivery of the content. So, and now let's see what are the main features. So easy administration. Yeah, content authors should be able to easily manage their content. Create, update, read or delete. And multi-platform capabilities. You might have multiple sites you want to maintain in the single instance, single CMS platform, as well as multilingual. So this Times of India, here it can be in regional languages as well. English is the main side. It can be in Hindi. It can be even in other languages in India. And workflow publishing, yeah, similar to newspapers, journalists cannot publish their articles directly. It will go to the editorial approvals. So the main editor approves. Similarly, here content authors will not be able to publish or write and publish their content on the live site directly. It will go to the workflow. There will be content authors who will be writing the content, and there will be content managers who would be approving who would be reviewing and making the suggestions, and if everything is good, they would be approving and publishing the content. And security and permissions, again, as I said, like content authors and content managers, so both have a different roles in the system. So security aspect will come into the place. I mean, for each user, the different roles are assigned. Based on the role, they would have certain permissions. Comprehensive search, when you want to modify certain content inside the CMS, you should be able to locate that content pretty quickly. That's where the search comes into the place. Versioning, again, if you have multiple versions of a same article, you can change the versions pretty easily. So these are like a broad, higher level CMS capability. Let's see next is what is a digital experience platforms. As Gartner defines, this is like, it's mainly an integrated technologies which helps a similar this is built on top of CMS. So you have basic CMS capabilities, as well as main thing is to understand the end customer, giving them the better experience across multiple channels. So if you notice here, it would be email. I mean, web is not the only place where people consume the content, right? They consume the content, I mean, maybe going to the in-store, maybe AR and augmented reality or virtual reality channels, web, social, mobile, and smart devices, IoT devices, and email. So all these channels, they would use different channels to consume the content. So just imagine a scenario where what is the whole purpose of this digital experience platform is mainly the companies want to understand their customers in a better, and so that they can serve the better content there. Imagine if you go to Amazon or if you go to YouTube, whatever you see on the home page, the video feeds may not be same as mine, because YouTube understands our context, and based on our previous visits, it will provide us the suggested videos. Amazon also same, like it will, when we go there, based on our previous browsing as well as previous purchases, it will start suggesting the products. So not always two persons will see the same homepage. So it is a similar way here. Digital experience platform is like providing a better customer experience across the channels. This requires, as Sitecore says, like this requires listening to the customer as well as speaking to the customer. So organizations can use content to speak, which is like whatever content we are managing in the content management system, and data to listen. So whatever the customer is browsing, understand the context and understand the data. So these DXP platforms are very popular now. I mean, pure CMS are still there, but DXPs are next level on top of CMS. And now third category is coming up very quickly in the recent years, which is headless CMS. Again, similar like previous, we are having a different channels now, as like you have smart devices, wearables, chatbots, AI-enabled devices, virtual reality headsets, different channels to consume the content or to interact with the organization. So in this case, there are two functions mainly. One is a backend, which we discussed before, like CMS. CMS will have content authoring functions where it will provide a UI for content authors to go and update the content. So that you can consider as a backend, and front end is where we build in a typical simple example is where we build a website consuming this content. And so this you can consider as a front end. What headless CMS does is mainly it decouples these both backend and front end functions. So content authoring, so in this case, content authoring can take place independent of where the content is being delivered. So because here it would be delivered through APIs. So content management system will have this backend UI as well as API, and through API it will deliver whichever channel it requires. Previously CMS used to have that presentation also in place. API, I mean, even the backend and front end inside the CMS box itself. So in that era, you have only web as a primary channel. I mean, websites are the primary channels. But now, as more and more technologies are evolved, we have different channels to consume. This is playing a very key role, like decoupling the content authoring functionalities as well as the front-end presentation delivery. So what are the popular platforms, enterprise platforms here? Like all the platforms, some of them provide CMS, some of them DXP and headless CMS. So we have Sitecore and Optimizely, Kentico. This first row is mainly all are based on the .NET frameworks, based on the Microsoft .NET, and Adobe Experience is on Java. Umbraco is again on .NET. Contentful is recently came up, like, which is pure headless. So there are quite a bunch of them. Of course, our focus is mainly on Sitecore. Let's see what all the products are available and how Sitecore is delivering the customers this different experience. Sitecore ecosystem. So it has founded in Denmark way back in 2001, and it was built in-house, everything around Sitecore. So it was a single piece of cohesive technology as they marketed. And 2004 it entered to US, and I'm just skipping a lot of years here. I'm just targeting recent years. 2018 major change was it acquired Style Labs, which has a huge product which is called Sitecore Content Hub. And 2021, just like in the last couple of months, it is in a acquiring spree. So they acquired like 3 companies: Boxever, 451, Musen. All these 4 acquisitions are one thing in common, which is all are SaaS platforms, which are software as a service platforms. But what are the main Sitecore products? These are 4 of them I can tell. One is Experience Manager. It provides a CMS capabilities. Experience Platform, similar, like it provides all the capabilities of XM plus analytics and personalizations. And XE is again just commerce related, so it provides a PIM, it provides shopping cart and all those commerce related functionalities. Content Hub provides a wide range of modules, which are like this is a pure SaaS platform, Content Hub, which is like it provides a digital asset management, content marketing platform, and product content management, marketing resource management. Quite a bunch of them are there. So all 3 are like XM, XP, and XC are inbuilt in Sitecore. XC is overwritten recently. Rewrite completely. Otherwise, it was before Microsoft Commerce Server, but it is rewritten completely as XC. But only Content Hub was acquired from Style Labs. And at present, all 3 of them are like either you can host it as a infrastructure as a service, on-prem, or platform as a service. Only Content Hub can be as a software as a service. Few features like Experience Manager, Experience Platform. Experience Manager pretty similar like whatever we are seeing in the content management system. So it provides all the content authoring features, everything. So be it a content management, workflow, publishing, security access, forms. You can also build forms, a simple contact us form or mail subscription forms like that. If you remember ASP.NET web forms, you have drag and drop components. Similar like that, you have forms management here. You can drag and drop this text box, different controls, and personalization. There are like very basic level of personalization is still available in Experience Manager, which is using in memory. And Experience Platform, it's mainly all these features plus extra, all the XM features plus experience. So it mainly collects experience data. Experience data is like whatever the visitor is doing on the site. So to better understand the customer, to understand what the person is performing, to build a context. So the processing and aggregation. So to process all those and indexing and segmentation, I put it in a context of a roles. So these are all individual server roles, analytics and reporting. It also gives us email marketing and marketing automation. These are all not acquired by anyone. These are all inbuilt in the experience platform by Sitecore. Two more major platforms, products which we are going to see. If you are a developer, you're going to work on Sitecore, then you would see this as a lot. Sitecore Experience Accelerator, which are also called SXA, and Sitecore JavaScript Services, which is JSS. So you would see SXA and JSS term a lot. So SXA is, as the name suggests, accelerator. If you install Sitecore normally, plain vanilla Sitecore installation, it will not provide any components. It will only provide the framework. We have to build all the pages, components, etc. But whereas this SXA provides a lot of inbuilt components, and it will provide all these extra features upfront, so that we can build the websites much faster. So you would be working most of the projects on either SXA or JSS. Going forward, there are projects on the normal Sitecore installations as well. And JSS, as the name suggests, it's a JavaScript SDK, which are closely related with the headless CMS features we have talked before. This presentation is decoupled from the actual content authoring. So this consume the content using GraphQL and all. So we can build the components in that way. Another three products, not exactly out yet, I believe. These are already existing products, but which are not Sitecore. Just 2 months back, all these three companies were acquired by Sitecore. So we have to wait and see how they all build into the Sitecore, or whether they go independently. But all are SaaS platforms which have decent customer base before itself. So Boxever is the customer data platform, CDP, and 451 is the commerce. Order Cloud is a commerce platform for them, and Mosent is email marketing. So, and Sitecore plus Cloud. So okay, I have built I have implemented a solution for Sitecore for a customer. What are my options to host? So you can host either using infrastructure as service, which is like you can host using any platform, even not only these three, any other cloud platform as well. But PaaS, platform as a service or software as a service, only option available is Azure. So as Sitecore has huge partnership with Microsoft, they always build tools around that Azure. So PaaS is support now. As I said, like XM, XP, XC, we can host it as in the PaaS model, platform as service. SaaS is currently available for Content Hub and as well as Experience Edge. If you are wondering what is this, this is a very latest icon from Azure. So I just like a couple of days back they launched this icon. And what are software as service? As I mentioned before, like Content Hub was you can say first pure SaaS from Sitecore. And recently, like again in February 2021, Experience Edge, another product launched by Sitecore, which is a pure SaaS service, software as service. What it does is it provides a content delivery platform on top of either Content Hub or XM. So XM is pure content authoring environment, CMS, and Content Hub is like it has all the other content marketing related platform. So Experience Edge provides a layer on top of both of these, so that using this Experience Edge we can consume the content, which is best suited for that Jamstack and new trends, the headless CMS, and as well as the pure SaaS platform, as more and more clients want to unburden from the maintaining all the infrastructure and everything. So SaaS is much simpler to maintain. At present it's only released for the Content Hub. XM is on the way yet. So few customers here, mainly overall the globe as well as local in India. Oberoi Group, I guess everyone knows Oberoi Hotels, and Maruti Suzuki, biggest automobile, four-wheelers, and Bajaj, again motorcycles, two-wheelers, the Birla Group, Adani Electricity. So all of these are like, some of them are Indian customers and some of them are like global, and we all know CA Cricket Australia, L'Oreal is a big brand for Sitecore, so which is the biggest customer, and Subway, Bupa Insurance. So quite a bunch of customers. They have like 5,000 plus customers or some number. You can find further information on the Sitecore website. And Sitecore partnership. So why this is important for us? As a developer, we either work for a Sitecore client, like whatever we have seen in the previous slide, the customers. Either you work for Subway, L'Oreal, or Maruti Suzuki. If at all they are maintaining the implementation in-house. If they are not doing the in-house implementation, they would most probably partner with some Sitecore partner, and then they would take the help of the partner to implement the solution. So in this case, we have the two options. As a developer, we either work directly with the client if they have an in-house team. If not, we work for the partners. So partners also have a different levels: silver, gold, and platinum. Platinum is the highest. So based on this partnership level, as a developers, we also get a features uses for like certification would be very less or free sometimes, as well as all the learning portal courses would be free. This platinum level, this partnership status would be given by Sitecore to the partners based on how many implementation they have done and on how many developers they have, how many licenses they sell. So like quite a bunch of criteria. You should know, and also very important thing is if you are working for a partner, you get the partner license to do all the local implementations or the POCs, everything. So in this way, either you work for the client, you get the client license to do all the development and even for POCs, or if you work for a partner get a different license file. So this license is required for any Sitecore installation, be it a local or in the higher environments. Also, there are like a few consultants works, even though they're not working exactly for the partner or client, they would be working as a third party, but they would be still using either client or partner license. And Sitecore always has a big partnership with Microsoft, because they are predominantly Microsoft shop, which uses like .NET. So from the Sitecore, from starting itself way back when they implemented first major versions, it was always on the .NET. So that's why more .NET developers are on Sitecore, and it supports ASP.NET Web Forms. Then later it moved to ASP.NET MVC. Now it is explored to ASP.NET Core as well. And on the side note, Microsoft also a customer to the Sitecore. So if you see Sitecore Partner Network, this website is using Sitecore, and also uses some other features like AI. Sitecore also has an AI framework, artificial intelligence, which is under SaaS. So that partner network uses that AI to personalize. So they have a very tight partnership with Microsoft. That is the reason you see a lot of PaaS platform, all these tools, everything is built for Azure. And developer driven. Now if you are a developer, what are the technologies you are going to see? Mainly nothing is changed. If you are a .NET developer, you will still be working on .NET, ASP.NET, MVC or Core, and C#, your favorite language, and SQL Server for all the content and analytics, Solar for the indexes. You can use Coveo and some other platforms as well, Elasticsearch, and our favorite JavaScript, all the build tools, and bottom you can see all the JavaScript frameworks. The JSS, which we talked before, Sitecore JavaScript services, you can build components using any of these frameworks: React, AngularJS, Vue.js. And latest inclusions recently, so .NET Core support is released. It is similar like JavaScript SDK, so it is a .NET Core SDK is available. So using which we can build a headless services, headless implementation. So Docker again more popular now with the normal Sitecore implementation. As a developer or higher level environments, we can use Docker. So it supports Windows containers, and Sitecore also publishes all these images, XP, XC, XM, all these images. Next.js again very recently released with the Sitecore 10.1, another SDK to support Jamstack. And GraphQL, as we saw, JavaScript SDK consumes, JSS consumes the content using GraphQL. Also Experience Edge, which is a new SaaS platform or the content delivery platform released by Sitecore, uses GraphQL. I mean, so anybody can, other systems can use the GraphQL to consume the content on top of Experience Edge. There is another word, I mean, Helix is another term. A lot of people, I mean, fresh, newly coming onto the Sitecore, get little confused. Helix, is it another tool or another product from Sitecore? That's where the confusion is. It's not a tool or product. It is just a principles which are like any object-oriented solid principles. So there are like quite a bunch of principles which are even not exactly from Sitecore. These are like already available widely in object-oriented world, object-oriented programming. So Sitecore suggests to use this principle so that to better maintainability implementations can be built. Otherwise, it was before to Helix principles. It was like all the implementations, different implementations have different structures. But now once Helix came in place, all the implementations are having one definite proper structure. So any developers who are switching into different partners or different implementations, it would be easy for them to understand how this whole implementation is done. So because these are all built on the common principles, which are Helix. So Helix is not any tool, not any starter kit. It is just a principles. And next is developer trial. This is what a little confusing. When I first did the video way back, like 4 years back, the license was not available because you need a license to practice. If you are a developer who are not working for any partner or client, just want to start learning Sitecore, that was a huge barrier 4 years back. In the middle, like last 1 or 2 years back, they launched developer trial license, so using which you get like 60 days trial license, and you can extend it for another 60 days, which is like overall 120 days license to do all your practices, installations, everything you can do it. But recently when we checked backend license, I'm not sure whether it is suspended. It looks like it is suspended until further notice. I will give you some links in the description. You can go and register there, or you can send a mail there. If at all you're lucky, you might get the license. But front end, there is some SaaS based kind of VMs or some other way they're providing the license. So maybe you can reach out to that as well. Front end in this case, you can remember, I mean, you know that JavaScript SDK is already available, which is JSS. In that, all we need is we need is JavaScript SDK, and we can build the components using React or Angular or Vue.js framework. For that, Sitecore can be hosted somewhere. All it needs is a GraphQL connection to get the content and everything. So for that, I believe front end is still available, but backend, unfortunately, at this point of time, I'm not sure it is available or not. And always available option is, as I said, like either you work for a partner or client, you get the license from them. And developer certifications, Sitecore has, if you are certified on Sitecore, it's very good for you on your job prospects. So it has one developer certification, which you can write either online, or you can go to the designated centers across the world. So obviously at this time, like with the pandemic around, online is much better. Certification fee is around $300 US. And again, if you are working for a partner, you would get a steep discount. If I'm not wrong, it would be $90, I guess, for the platinum partners. And if you are a certified developer and you are working with a partner or client, you get a chance to raise the support tickets. So that's a little added advantage. And also previously, if you are not certified, you will not be able to download any XP or any packages from the dev.sitecore.com. But like few months back, around 5-6 months back, they did remove that restriction. So now you need not to be certified, and there is no authentication also required. You can just download the softwares directly from the dev.sitecore.com, and more importantly, they implemented CDN as well, and it is much quicker to download now. And good thing is strength of the developer in the Sitecore world is the Sitecore community, and again Sitecore community strength is its developers. So it is built, like you can say, by the developers and for the developers. So you have beautiful community around Sitecore. Mostly this is what the active channels, like which is, we have Sitecore community Slack, which is sitecorechat.slack.com. You can go and register. If you are a Sitecore developer, you would be given access, and you can access the channels and everything. So you can see here like quite a bit of channels. A lot of discussion happens. I believe around 7,000 people are there. You put a questions or you put a doubts, people are there to answer, and or if you are interested to share some information, all the developers are there. And Sitecore's Stack Exchange, it is similar like other Stack Overflow, our favorite Stack Overflow, where we go in for any question and answer forum. If any question we have, we first hit is Stack Overflow. Similarly, Stack Exchange is a designated place for a particular technology or a concept. So in this case, we have Sitecore designated Stack Exchange. I guess around 10,000 questions are there, still in beta, but most active. You find a lot of question and answers here. If you search for something on Sitecore, you would get into these questions. And dev.sitecore.com or .net is where you can download all the softwares, and doc.sitecore.com is for the documentation. Learning is e-learning portal where partners have a free access, I believe, but others need to pay. And marketplace is like marketplace modules, where on top of Sitecore we can, if another developers build some extra implementations, we can use that. They would provide, like, this is a free, it's not that you need to go and buy. These are like some free tools which are provided by other developers. Although more and more nowadays everyone is using GitHub to open source their project, as well as make it available for the download as well. So I'm seeing less and less on marketplace now. And that was a global developer community, but what happens in local India? So we have individual user groups for, I mean, majority of the cities, as you saw: Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, Delhi, Mumbai, Pune, and Jaipur. We have, and so very active user groups. So where we usually have in-person meetups, a lot of webinars. Although with the pandemic here, mostly we are having a lot of webinars, and we do have local WhatsApp groups, Telegram groups. So where we do talk about everything around Sitecore, or even outside Sitecore as well. Sitecore lunch is like every Saturday we get together like 1:15 in the afternoon for 30 minutes, just to have a discussion, just like a catch-up call, just to talk everything around Sitecore, or even outside Sitecore. We just random talk. So feel free to join. So Sitecore lunch. And major conferences. So Sitecore conducts one of the major conferences from them is the Symposium. It will be usually in October and November for every year. 2021 it is going to be in October, end of the October. So this is where they announce all the new products or the upcoming changes around the products, and a lot of sessions, explanations, and partners. So all these things will happen. Symposium is a major conference for Sitecore, you can say. And SUGCon and Symposium is purely by Sitecore, so by the Sitecore company. And SUGCon is which is like short form for Sitecore User Group Conference, which is purely driven by the community. Majorly it happens in 3 places, in Europe, in India, and in Australia for the ANZ. So in Europe, a lot of times it already happened. I mean, in person, it is a major one, and in India we had like 2 years in Bangalore, and Australia it was only one time. It was in Sydney. Last year, as we couldn't conduct the in person, so we did have a global virtual SUGCon, like 24 hours virtual one. So where you get a chance to see all the what are the developers are building, what are the cool features which they want to share. So it is a good conference purely for the developers. Developers and marketers. Whereas at Symposium, it is mainly for the customers as well, but SUGCon is purely for the developers and marketers. So this year also we are going to have another virtual SUGCon. This would be on June 4th and 5th, June 5th and 6th, which is a Saturday. So for Saturday it starts around 5:30 a.m. in India time, and it goes on for 24 hours. It's like there are like more than 24-hour sessions. Continuous sessions across the globe, and it will finish like 5:30 a.m. 6th June. So for the India time. So these are the two major conferences if you want to follow. Finally, we came to the end of the video, but big question remains. So what has changed mainly over the 4 years when I first made this video until now? So major thing is that time it was only .NET developers. Only using .NET we could implement solutions for Sitecore. But now that is rapidly changed. So as you saw, JSS, one of JavaScript SDK, using which even JavaScript developers, no need of .NET, JavaScript developers can implement the solutions. So that is one major change, as well as we see a lot of Docker is implementing now for the normal XP and XM solutions. So we need to learn the Docker as well. And third is market is the content management systems, or whole this ecosystem is moving towards headless and Jamstack, and as well as headless and Jamstack. In that world, more and more JavaScript is used, either of the frameworks and statically generated sites. As we know, Jamstack is that JavaScript APIs and markup. So we need to learn that JavaScript framework as well. And last but not least, clients are more interested to have a SaaS platforms rather than PaaS or infrastructure as service, because it would unburden them, as I said before, it would release them the pressure of maintaining these infrastructure or even the platforms. So SaaS is much simpler for them to maintain. So Sitecore is continuously giving us the SaaS options, which is first one was the Content Hub. So now if you implement a solution for the Content Hub, you don't need to be a .NET developer. Anyone can implement, because all it provides is the API. Similar case with all the Experience Edge as well. It provides a GraphQL API. So the presentation, it does not matter whether you are going to build on .NET or any other things. So all you can do is you can consume the content or consume certain services and deliver it. So what I am seeing right now is, although majority of the platform, majority of the existing clients implementations are on .NET, going forward, you need to be .NET, but also more towards Jamstack, which is like JavaScript as well, JavaScript and React or Angular JavaScript libraries, as well as more and more aware of this API consumption, everything like GraphQL, or even for that matter, whatever the SDKs are provided for that particular platform. So vice versa. So now I feel Sitecore is much open for beyond .NET developers, and good for others. And one worry for the .NET developers is they need to come out of or expand the skills beyond .NET, which is like JavaScript mainly. So the whole market is moving to JavaScript. Again, this all things can change, but at this point of time, but it looks like you need to be a JavaScript developer plus .NET also. Yeah, that's all for this video. So that's my higher level overview of all the things around Sitecore product ecosystem, what all the products are from Sitecore, as well as what is the community and what are the technologies are supported now by Sitecore. So I hope you have a better idea now. In the next videos, we would be focusing more on how to install Sitecore and how to build components, how to build a solution or full website, and search, how to build a search solution, query the indexes, everything. So there are a lot more videos are to come. Stay tuned. Do subscribe if you want to get a notifications. Thank you for watching.